Hey there, Globetrotters and Adventure Junkies. Welcome to another epic episode of But Did You Die with the Jet Sisters.
I'm Angie, and this is my little sister, Rachel. In case you're new around here, we're all about sharing travel tips, the latest travel news, and of course, the unforgettable moments during our travels where things don't go exactly like we planned.
You know, when you're here with us, every misadventure becomes a story, and every story ends with one big question. But did you die? Hey, it's episode 30. We've made it through the holidays.
Like, barely, though.
I
Right?
think
Just,
it
it was good.
It was good. It was busy. I'm shocked at how busy we were.
We did so much. I feel like we did more this holiday season. And I think it's because in our minds, it's like it's the last Christmas before the baby comes. So, like, I guess we're never doing anything again because we crammed so much in to this holiday season of so many things. And it was so much fun. Like, we really did have a good time. And I feel like I've been in a coma ever since.
Well, like we did lots of things, but we didn't go out and do things. I feel like we did more games and activities than we ever have. And then the one thing that we did do was sit in the car for 2.5 hours to drive 5 miles down the road to look at Christmas lights. Never do that again.
We will never, mark my words, go to the Black Hawk Bluff Christmas lights display again. Was it beautiful? Probably. I don't know. I was in the trunk. So my loving sister relegated me as the smallest one to the middle of the back seat. You know who was in the back seat? My brother and his girlfriend. I was supposed to sit in between them. Well, that didn't work out. Anyway, I ended up in the trunk. You can't see the Christmas lights from the trunk. It was terrible. I almost had to jump out and punch some people because they were driving so aggressively. Like, it was TV show, National Lampoon quality Christmas
Yes.
movie. It was
Yes.
not like feel
Yes.
good, heartwarming Christmas movie. Not that particular. Like, we could have we could have done a movie about the things. Do you remember when Dad was singing
Oh, I have it on video.
to
Yeah.
Feliz Navidad?
Yeah. Yes.
I wrote it in
Well,
my phone.
that was early in the night in the drive when everything was going well, and then it wasn't until 2 hours later you ended up in the trunk. Hodge was angry about something or wasn't angry about something, but became I can't tell. I don't know.
No, I was
Anyway.
thinking you and Ben must have had such a nice time in the front seat with your own space and your cute little dogs looking like I didn't even know the dogs were in the car for a good hour because I was so far away from the action. All I heard occasionally was Dad singing Police, oh my God, into the tune of Feliz Navidad. And that's all I heard. It was bad. I felt like
Front
a
seat was
stowaway.
fine. It was just a lot of people complaining the whole time, which I mean, yeah. Yeah.
It
but we
was
did
complaint worthy. We won't do
Yeah.
that again. Next time we'll just like play more games with marshmallows and candles
Yeah.
and because that was fun and tissues and that was really a blast. So anyways,
That was our last Christmas without a little one.
before little Genghis Khan Miller arrives on the scene, that's what they've decided to name the baby.
You nailed it. Yeah.
Genghis Khan.
Yes. Well, truly, we are not sharing the name until birth. However, one person does know. One person.
How dare
that is
you?
not me or
How
Ben.
dare you? Who is
No,
it?
There is one. I don't think
I know
I'll tell
it's-
you.
Because you know
Because-
I'll totally torture them to
Yeah,
get
not,
the name.
Not that you know. So here's the thing: you don't know this person, which is why I told them because they don't know anyone. They don't know anybody. But I was like, let me just tell.
Who do you know that I don't know? We know all the same people.
So one person does know, but yes, some
rude.
of my favorite. What is it? Shabalika Botnagar?
Shafalika Botnagar is my
Miller.
favorite name in the world. She is like the weather news and traffic person on the talk radio station in Jacksonville. And literally, if I'm flipping through the radio and I hear her voice, I'm like, it's her, it's her. She just has the best name in the world. And it's oddly famous within our family. We use the name Shafalika Botnagar for so many things. This poor girl would be probably horrified to meet us, but I would be so excited to meet her in person. I would be like, it's you. She would, huge celebrity to me. I would be completely starstruck. But yeah, but it's not a girl baby. So Shafalika, I don't know. But what about like George Washington
Ooh,
Miller?
Miller.
A noble name. Alexander Hamilton.
Well, Alexander is possibly the middle name. Haven't decided. It'll
It's
depend on
not,
Hodge.
it's not looking good.
But the first name, yeah, definitely set in stone. Set in
Okay. The first
stone.
name is in stone.
Yes, it's the middle name we haven't quite decided on.
I absolutely cannot stand this. It's making me so crazy that I don't know.
Well, you will know in 3, 4 months.
Get out of here.
I know.
Get out of here.
I know.
Not that I'm planning my entire year around it, but I absolutely am. And I have already like set my work schedule. Things are moved around like this month, basically. Like I'm having a baby. Literally, I'm going on maternity leave, unpaid. And also I don't have a baby, but it's important to me. So
we're all on unpaid maternity leave. It's a real problem.
America. Anyway, so speaking of the world, remember last year?
Like all of it or some of it? I remember last year.
Roughly this time last year, we were starting to think about planning our trip to Sweden, right? To see Taylor Swift. Do you remember this?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
And all we had to do to go to Sweden was have a passport and book a flight. That was it, right? Guess what?
The good old days.
That's over. That's over. The rules of travel to most European countries have changed for people from the US and 60 other countries. So that's 1.4 billion people that this is changing for. And I don't think everybody knows this. Did you know that this was a thing?
I did, but only because like I will go to Europe. So this is something that's popped up in my feed. But I mean, the average person, or let's say the boomer who is going somewhere, who barely knows they need a passport, like this is going to be fun.
Or like to change currency. And like, this is just adding a whole other level of, it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be hard to apply for. So you have to apply for this authorization. It's not a visa because you're visa exempt if you're from the US to travel to the EU. But it's an authorization. You have to get it in advance. It covers you for short stays up to 90 days, and it's valid for 3 years. So you can't stay for 3 years, but you can stay up to 90 days in a 3-year period. Complicated, right? Fine. It's linked to your passport. You have to get it in advance on the website. There are already 100 websites that are fake, that are going to scam people out of their money left and right, take their passport info, their address, their credit card info. So please don't use the wrong website if you are applying for this, and apply as soon as you know that you're going to Europe. It costs €7. So it's not going to break the bank. It's certainly going to make whoever's in charge of this some dough.
I'd rather just give someone $30 to not have to fill out a form every time. Like
I will literally give you $30 every time I arrive if you just leave me alone and I don't have to have one more thing of paperwork. But I kind of understand why they're doing it, because then they're going to they say it's to help prevent terrorism and like bad actors from coming into the countries. But don't we already have passports? Like, don't we already have facial recognition and we got to put our fingerprints in? There's all these things that you'd think you'd be in a database by now if you were on a no-fly list or whatever. But they say you're supposed to get it as early as you can, but get it before you book your tickets or your hotels, especially if you've ever been a jerk on a plane and maybe gotten thrown off or had any kind of incident, where if someone was ever yelling Karen at you and your name's not Karen in an airport, you definitely do this well in advance and don't book your travel first because you just want to know if you can get in. So that's that, right? That's for the EU, the 30 some countries that are included in this bucket.
Okay. What about the UK?
Oh, you thought that was all going to be included? No, well, it's not, because you remember Brexit from a couple of years ago when the UK broke away from the European Union. So now the UK has its own separate authorization for people who don't need visas. It's valid for a different amount of time, for 2 years, and it's only for 6 months, not 90, or it's for 6 months, not 90 days. It's £10 per person. You have to do it if you're a baby, if you're over 70, which is not the case for the ETIAS. So it's just completely different and crazy. And folks need to keep that in mind, because you can't just go to Europe and like hop around Europe like you used to. I'm thinking of a time when I was in Spain and I was like, oh, I feel like going to England tomorrow. You can't necessarily just do that anymore. So
Oh,
you actually
yeah.
have to either do it well in advance, if you know you're going to be traveling and just have it available, or you are going to have to be a little more mindful and plan ahead. And that was always such a good thing about going to Europe, is that we could just go to Europe and not have to think about visas. And, like when I went to Africa and I had to apply for stuff in advance. And when I went to China for a layover and I had to get a visa well in advance. And it's just so nice when you can go to a country and not have to do that. But now you have to do this. And
And
they will
even for
turn you away.
layovers. Even
Yeah,
yeah.
for layovers. Really?
And what if you have a layover that you weren't supposed to have, and then are you
I'm
in
saying.
trouble? And
No, they just don't let you
Oh.
off. You just get to sit on the plane for 3 days while they figure you out. Yeah. Wild. So that is the travel news of 2025. If you're heading to Europe or the UK, make note in your brain right now to get your authorizations and to make sure you're on the right website, because
speaking
that
of
could go sideways.
BS rules, I'll give you one more travel news. You see, it now costs $9 to drive around New York in this one busy area during rush hour. So
Yeah.
you pay taxes for transit, and now you have to pay So it's $9 now. It's going to go up to $12 and then $15 in the coming years.
I haven't read anything about it, because if you know anything about me, the last thing I would ever do is drive in New York. Like, it's never going to happen. I've had many an opportunity, and it's not a thing. But like, God bless your ministry if you do want to do something like that, but I would never do that. So it's not a problem to me. But yeah, I've heard a lot of pushback about it.
I would be so angry if I was driving over
Well, there's already so many tolls. Anytime you
$9.
cross a bridge or go through a tunnel, I feel like you're paying a fortune. But I guess they have to do it because there's too much congestion. I don't know.
I that's the very limited information, but there's some what's up with rules, man? I'm over this. Let's live in the woods. Hodge was right.
It's the paperwork for me. I just don't want to do it.
There's so many things I haven't done because I haven't filled out the paperwork. Oy, that's
gosh.
real. Ben knows.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna have a baby. Anyway, let's get to the topic of the week, which, you guys, it's more of Hawaii, Big Island, the island of Hawaii. Is it called a Big Island?
It depends who you ask. Yes, colloquially people call it that, but it is Hawaii is its name. It's the island of Hawaii. But as a person who understands search engines, you can't just say Hawaii or no one will know which of the Hawaiian islands you're talking about. So that is why people call it the Big Island, because it distinguishes it from the others, but its name is actually Hawaii.
It is actually Hawaii. It is the Big Island. Here's some fun facts about the Big Island that I didn't know, including what its name is. It's the largest island in the U.S. Can you hear my dogs wrestling over there?
Is that what that noise is?
That's what that is.
Just like little gremlins in the background.
Yeah. Okay, so this
usual.
island, it spans over 4,000 square miles, which is almost twice the size of all of the other Hawaiian islands combined. Home to active volcanoes. Yikes. How volcanoes still exist. That's pretty crazy. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is there. You'll find 2 active volcanoes. You can look them up. I can't pronounce them.
Kilauea.
That makes sense.
Kilauea and Mauna Loa.
Yeah. Kilauea is one of the most active volcanoes on Earth. Yikes. And then the other one is the largest active volcano. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in the world by volume. Like size-wise, it's grande.
So they're both the most active volcanoes on Earth, but one's bigger.
No, one is the largest active volcano. The other one is the most active volcano. It's 2 different things. One is a very big one. The other one is very active.
So yeah, if you're trying to go to Hawaii and the Big Islands, you got to watch out for them volcanoes.
You should be so lucky to see an eruption. Rick and I were walking all over the national park, like willing an eruption to happen, because there was this whole little earthquake swarm, biggest ones they'd had in a while. Right as we were getting there, I'm like, oh, this is our time. It's going to happen. We just wanted to see the lava. I want to see lava so bad. Never seen lava. And it didn't happen. And guess what? It's happening now.
It's happening right now. I saw
It's happening.
I saw volcanoes erupt in Guatemala.
But you didn't see lava, right? You just saw like ash.
No, it was like a billion miles away. I was too scared for that.
You do keep saying yikes every time you say volcano. So no, this is
Volcanoes-
awesome. Volcanoes are awesome.
Volcanoes are one of those things like quicksand. Like they seem scary when you're a kid, but like how often am I around a volcano or quicksand? More volcano than quicksand. But.
I'm around volcanoes a lot, but I've never seen one erupting and I've never seen lava in action.
Define a lot.
All the freaking time. Like literally every time I leave Florida, there's a volcano around. Bro.
How many volcanoes were you next to last year?
I'm going to need time to think about it, but probably quite a few. Probably multiple. I was on the West Coast. Listen, I was on the West Coast. I go to Costa Rica. Hello. You know, there's volcanoes all over the West Coast. Have you ever heard of the Ring of Fire? Come on, man.
Yeah, Johnny Cash. Great song.
Oh, no.
All right.
Yeah, we
next?
have such different views of the world.
There's another big volcano. It's massive, I would say. It's dormant, though. It's the tallest. It's considered the tallest mountain in the world by, like, if you measure it from its base of the ocean floor to the top, which in Mount Everest, that's not what you do. But, you know.
But listen, you
Shut
could.
up, dogs!
So this is Mauna Kea. We'll talk about this a little bit more. But it's higher than Mount Everest if you measured it from the actual bottom of the mountain. So it is higher than Mount Everest. Just like it's winter chicken dinner. And I've been to the top of it. We'll talk about that.
But like if you climbed Mount Everest and you climbed this mountain shorter.
Sure.
Because you can't climb underwater.
But we're not talking about climbing. We're talking about height.
Sure. Tomato. Agree to disagree.
But the Big Island is where King Kamehameha was born. And he is the guy who basically founded the kingdom of Hawaii and unified? Wow. Okay, Galinda. So King Kamehameha unified the Hawaiian Islands in the late 18th century. And you can see like his birthplace and there's statues to him. And Big Island is a really good island to learn about the history of the islands.
Back on topic and stop getting us off topic.
Okay,
Where did you stay? Where did you stay on the Big Island?
We stayed in two different places. We were there for 5 nights. We stayed 2 nights in a vacation rental in Volcano, the name of a town. Obsessed. Didn't love the vacation rental at all. It was a bad experience all the way around. Convenient, but not awesome. And then we went to the Outrigger, which is up in Kailua Kona and up near the more like populated area. And we liked it a lot. It's sort of like one of those vintagey old looking properties, but it's just been renovated. So it's like sparkly and new, but still has all that, I don't know, like that 60s, 70s Hawaiian vibe. Fun architecture, cool pools. Mm-hmm. They got a big slide, which I didn't get to go on at all. Very disappointingly. Ooh. Yeah, super, super disappointing. And they do have some other highlights that I will tell you about. But we really liked staying there. It was also very affordable.
I was just going to ask, how long were you there on the Big Island and how much for accommodations did you spend?
Gosh,
ballpark.
Tricky. I think we were there for 5 nights and we had 2 nights in the vacation rental. So that was probably about $400. And then we had 3 nights at the Outrigger, which let's say it was $700, but we got a sick deal. And I think this is hilarious. I used my AAA for the first time because I have a AAA membership, not through my job, but through my like T-Mobile. So I signed up. Yeah. So I got like a year of AAA for free. And so I used it to check out travel deals. Cause you know me, when I'm traveling, I look at 700 different ways to get a deal and I always get a good deal. But the best deal I found was on AAA. So we got a really, really good deal. I think it was like $150 a night, which on the water in Hawaii in November was a super solid deal. So yeah, it was $600 or $700, something like that. But legit, really legit.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So what is there to do on the Big Island that you can't do on any of the other Hawaiian islands?
Well, I'm so glad you asked this question. Yeah, you can eat Hawaiian Swiss rolls. Just kidding. You can do that on all the islands. Also, just kidding. They don't have those. So probably the main thing, I couldn't even say the main thing. There's there's 4 things that you absolutely have to do on the Big Island. And it's such a big island. There's so many things to do. It's hard to pick, but we only had 4 days really, like 3.5 once you count travel and stuff. So one thing we did that was unforgettable, like total wow moment, was swimming with the manta rays. So there's these manta rays that are like, 12 feet long, if not bigger. Also, it's at night. So you're swimming in the Pacific Ocean at night, which I didn't tell Rick this at all. He's not as gung-ho about like just jump in the ocean all the time. He has more, I forget what it's called, like thalassophobia, where just the open ocean. He's not phobic, but he's not as into it as I am. So I didn't tell him exactly. I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna snorkel with the manta rays. I didn't mention it was in the dark
At midnight.
Yeah. So yeah. So we went out with this company called Analakai Adventures, and there's all these different boat tours that'll take you out on different kinds of boat. You can go on a pontoon boat, a sailboat, whatever, with big groups. This one was so sick because it's like an old style Hawaiian canoe, like literally, with the sides, and there's 2 little hulls, and 3 people, just 3 people get in the little hulls, and then you have one kind of like guide guy in the back, and you paddle out to the manta rays. It's a 5-minute paddle. You absolutely do not need to be on a giant motorboat full of people. And then you kind of hop out and you jump in between these 2 hulls, I guess you would call them. And there's lights in the water, really bright lights. And you jump out and you hold on to these bars and you look down and there's manta rays everywhere. They said we had an above average night. There were 12 to 15 of them. They were huge. You're not supposed to touch them. They did not get the memo. They are up in your business. Literally, it just looks like ballet. They come from the bottom and do a big swooping swoop and just right up against your body. And they eat plankton. If any SpongeBob fans out there, plankton are little microscopic cartoon characters. And that's what all the big lights that they have, that's what draws them to the surface. So they're just eating the plankton that are drawn to the lights. And so they don't even care that you're there. You're just hanging around at the surface and they're just swimming around eating. And everybody's having a good time. So cool. I mean, as soon as I get in, I was wowed, totally wowed. And I'm not often wowed by super hyped up activities, but I thought it was amazing and I would totally recommend it.
Ben and I did a night swim for our honeymoon in Jamaica, and that was cool. Just because you're in the middle of the ocean, the sea, whatever, the Caribbean, and
I believe it's now referred to as the Gulf of America.
I can't. Also, no, I can't. It's like, yeah, like everything is dark except for where you are, which like you can't see what's swimming towards you. But that was a lot of fun. So I imagine that was cool with all the manta rays. All right, what's next?
Well, and I will say the really interesting thing about this is these mantas started congregating here off the coast of the hotel that we stayed at because they long ago put these lights out there and it attracted the mantas. And so it just kind of became a thing. So if you're not going to get in the water for any reason, and I know a lot of people that wouldn't get in the water in the daytime, much less at night in the Pacific, you can see them from the Outrigger Hotel. From your room, if you have a room, and they're just swimming, and it's just amazing. Okay, so the next thing that you absolutely have to do if you go to the Big Island, we went out with this company called Hawaii Forest and Trail, and we did the Sea to Summit tour, which is like 8 to 10 hours. I'm not wild about being on a tour that's that long. I feel a little bit trapped, a little claustrophobic, and it's a bus tour, but it was awesome. The bus was like tall. Not huge, but tall. And it was nice. It wasn't some junky van. I was just imagining being in a van with a bunch of people, but it was like very nice. Our guide, Adam, was so smart. He knew everything about all the things that I like to nerd out about, like the plants on the island, what's indigenous, what was brought here by birds 5,000 years ago, how the nene geese have evolved their feet so they can walk on the volcano, the dried lava. What else? The stars, that was incredible. So you drive around. The thing about the Big Island that's really cool, I keep saying that. There's a million things about the Big Island that are really cool. But one of the things is there's 15 different ecosystems in the world. There's like 13 of them on the Big Island. I'm making up the numbers, but it's like that, to the point where they have like tundra at the top of Mauna Kea. You wouldn't expect to see snow in I was gonna say in the Bahamas. You wouldn't expect to see snow in Hawaii, but this is where you do because it's so high. I think it's the tallest mountain in the U.S. from the ground. Like, forget from the ocean floor, but from the ground, it's actually that tall. And so the point is, you go from sea level, meet the bus at sea level, and then you make your way through all of these different ecosystems. Sometimes you feel like you're in Wyoming. Sometimes you feel like you're in, I don't know, Jamaica, because
that
of
is
like jungle.
Freaking cool.
And you do it all in one day. So
do you get sick?
You can. So interestingly, when you get all the way to the top of Mauna Kea, you get there right before sunset. So you're seeing the sunset above the clouds, which was so otherworldly. There's all these huge telescopes. They said, oh, there's telescopes at the top of the mountain and satellite kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, telescopes. They mean like telescopes as big as your house, like huge billion-dollar things that are monitoring stuff that our minds can't even comprehend out in space. And so they're all the way up there because there's no interference. There's nothing else that tall, in the world.
Wow.
So it's just as close as you can get. You really feel like you're on Mars or something because there's no vegetation really up when you're up there. And the air is so, so thin. It's freezing. So you've come from swimming with the Manta Rays the night before with no wetsuit because the water's fine and the weather's lovely, to there's snow on the ground and you're freezing.
And you're above the clouds.
And you're above the clouds watching the sun set. It's so bizarre. There's only so many people up there for a lot of reasons. It's kind of a crazy drive, so it's very good to take a tour. I would not want to do that drive myself. Also, you need like 4-wheel drive and a lot of rental cars aren't supposed to go up there. So yeah, absolutely incredible. The color of the sun is just different, and you can see Maui from up there, which is far away. It's
the rock.
Maui, the island, like Haleakala. They have a mountain over there, and you can see it from way up. Yeah, the rock. I get it.
Cool.
I was like, no, it's not a rock. It's a mountain. Oh, I get it.
Yeah,
okay.
Moana.
Also, food. It's just spectacular. Haven't even got to the next part, which is then you go down to 9,000 feet. And you stargaze for a couple of hours with their very expensive telescopes. They've got a laser pointer. There's nowhere else to see stars with this little light pollution, like anywhere that's easy to get to. And it was easy to get to. Like somebody just drove us up there. You want to do this somewhere else, you have to go to like Nepal. And good luck. That's going to cost you $1 bazillion trillion. And I mean, it was just incredible. And they had snacks and they knew everything about the stars.
How much was this tour?
I think it was about $300 a person.
Oh,
it's a pricey tour, but it's something you cannot do anywhere else. And I thought it was spectacular. Like just getting all the way up there, and they provide everything. It really was. It could not have been easier. I loved it. I loved it so much. And I just nerded out. If you hyperfixate on things, you're going to love it.
I was really hoping you were going to say $60, but 300. It sounds really cool. That's a
and it's an all-day tour.
Yeah,
and there's some food included.
Yeah,
and you don't have to drive like a really crazy road that is actually quite scary, and then drive back down it in the dark. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Unpaved. No, thank you. The next thing, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. We're all obsessed with national parks, and by we're all, I mean me and you and our husbands. It was so great. It's one of the only national parks you can go to that if you come back in 10 years, it'll probably be really different because it's erupting and it's changing and you never know when it's going to erupt. And I was so angry to find out that it just started erupting like right around Christmas. I mean, we were there 6 weeks ago and I wanted to see it so badly. So, we'll just have to do it another time. I would say if you're wanting to go to that national park and spend a couple of days, because there's a lot to do. There's a lot of different hikes. You can go down to the water. Don't stay in the vacation rental we stayed in. You can message me and I'll tell you which one that was. But I would have stayed at Volcano House, which is in the national park and overlooks like the smoking caldera. There's a restaurant there. It's where the gift shop is. Should have stayed there, even if it was a little more expensive. I really liked that location once we visited. It was really fabulous. We downloaded an audio guide think it's called Shaka Guides. I'll link to it in the show notes. But that was our sort of audio tour around the park, and it was spectacular. It's GPS linked, so it knows right when you're about to look at this rock that's shaped like a snowman, and it's like, look to your right. Do you see that snowman? And you're just like, oh my gosh. And you learn everything. It's really great. And then the last thing that you have to do in the Big Island is drink Kona coffee, because that's where it comes from. It's the only place in the world you can get Kona coffee. It's really special how it's made. It's all hand-picked because of the way the terrain is. They can't do any of it by machine. And also the cherries, like, you know, the fruit of it, they ripen at different times on the branch. So you can't just harvest it all at once. You got to hand pick it. And so there's all this interesting culture and history, and you can go to these tasting rooms and learn about basically all these coffee farmers who grew up. They, you know, around the coffee season, they didn't go to school and they would hand pick, and you could hear the clinking of the cherries in the cans. And it's just really interesting and a good way to learn about the culture of the island and not just kind of like look at the cool outdoorsy things. So that is the quick and dirty of the Big Island.
Those were 4 things that make me want to go to Hawaii. Not like I didn't want to go, but I would do all of those things.
Yeah, I would say we super lucked out because we weren't there long. We felt very overscheduled. We barely got to swim or like sit still or eat. And everything we did was incredible and really worth it. Like, I didn't even mention the luau, which was spectacular, and my first luau I ever went to. Just so many lovely things.
Well, those are all great things, but it wouldn't be But Did You Die without the disaster. So what went wrong?
So I would say what went wrong started when we were in Kauai, 3 nights in Kauai. And one of those days we decided foolishly to do this really long, arduous hike. And so we were so sore the entirety of the time that we were on the Big Island that it really clouded a lot of things. Like getting in and out of the canoe with the Manta Rays was like excruciating. And we absolutely did not want to walk anywhere. And it's a very much outdoorsy walk, like take off and see where the day takes you. And we were like, oh my gosh, if I have to step up one more stair, I'm going to die. And that's pretty much what it felt like. Like we could barely move. And so I would just say, I think I said this last week, if you are doing a long trip, don't plan the hard hike that's going to mess you up at the beginning. And sort of on that note, when we were walking down to meet the tour for the Manta Rays, we're just like walking along the sidewalk, and mind you, I could barely like lift my legs. So I'm just kind of like trudging along. This freaking cockroach runs out in front of me. And so I scream and jump into the street and like in front of a bus, basically, and almost got hit by a bus. Now, I have not moved in any kind of fast or rapid way since the hike, and there was a roach, and I just took off running, but really almost got hit by a bus. And Rick was like, I can't keep you alive if you're just going to run into traffic.
This is true. If you're like, oh, Angie's being dramatic, this is not dramatic. Like it's a roach thing. Like it's a whole thing. Like I can't send her videos if there's a roach in it. She can't watch movies if there's a cockroach in it. So
nope.
Are you gonna go back to Hawaii?
Yeah, of course.
But there was one cockroach.
Well, and that was on the way to the snorkel. So on the way back, I ran back to the hotel. And I think it made things so much worse with my legs. Like maybe they were starting to heal, but they were like, why? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little bit gnarly.
That's rough.
So travel tip, 5 nights was not enough on the Big Island. It might be enough, say on one of the smaller Hawaiian islands, but this one is huge. And when you're giving a whole day, say to do the Sea to Summit thing and go to the top of the mountain, while it's very worth it, it's a lot of ground to cover, and there's a lot of different sides of the island. We didn't even we flew into Hilo and immediately drove down to Volcanoes. So we didn't even get to see Hilo, which is its own great place. We didn't even go to the north part of the island. We missed a lot, and we did a lot, but we missed a lot. So I would say if you're going to the Big Island, really give it some time, stay a whole week, if not more, if you can. Don't try this nonsensical island hopping foolishness that we did. Maybe if it's a smaller island, but each and every Hawaiian island, from what I've seen, is a destination worth a week on its own. So I understand you're going to go all that way. You want to cram in as much as you can. But once you factor in, we spent a whole day flying between the islands because we had to connect. And so you kind of waste a day and then you're tired. It's like, just pick one island, go do it. And then in a couple years or every 4 years, like me, every election year, go back to Hawaii and do another one. So that's probably my biggest thing. We were really overscheduled trying to fit it all in, and you don't want to be overscheduled in Hawaii. You really would like to have some time to sit on the beach and listen to the palm trees and the waves and look at the turtles instead of being like, we have to go to the next thing. So that's my tip for every trip ever.
That's a good one. That is, because that makes sense because it's Hawaii. So Florida takes years to get there. And so you're like, well, let me do everything. You can't. And then you don't have fun because you've done the hike that totally wrecks your body. And then, yeah. And then there's a cockroach. So, hey, great overview on the Big Island.
Thanks. See, I couldn't even fit it into our normal amount of time. That's how much there is to cover on the Big Island.
What's up this week? What are we doing? What's going on? It's the second week of the year. It is the second week of January.
Already. Yeah. I don't know how, but started the year with a polar plunge. Yeah, just doing a lot of admin things, trying to get ready. I have a very busy January, February, March, trying to get ready for the baby, and got some baby showers to throw, and I have a lot of things to do in New York City in about 2 weeks. So I'm just, getting a lot of stuff done. Very exciting. Yeah. I'm super excited about all of it. I'm living the dream, but I have to remind myself of that when I'm like, oh my gosh, my calendar is absurd. And then I'm like, oh, these are all things I absolutely want to do. 100%. So that's where we are. How about you? What are you doing?
I said I didn't want to do any baby things until January 1st. And now we are doing all the baby things. So registry, all that, building shelves and cribs and is this safe and pushing strollers, all of that. I forgot to tell you, Joan finished your book.
Yay!
And she loved it. And she was like, no doubt you were a writer and like, it's fabulous. And then she told me, she was like, I see where you get your love of writing. And I was like, my love of writing?
Your love of writing? I couldn't get you to write if I paid you $5,000 a word.
And you tried. And I was like,
I've tried.
Oh. Yeah. But yeah, she loved it.
How darling.
Yeah. Love Joan.
That's so sweet.
Love Joan. What else am I doing? I'm doing a lot. Going back to Virginia to go skiing, aka sit on my butt while Ben skis.
Yes.
Baby shower number 1, baby shower number 2. Ben might be going to Europe. He might be going to Bro Olympics. No one knows.
Tell him to get an ETIAS visa. Don't forget.
Oh my gosh, for real.
Actually, no, he's going to Scotland, so he needs the UK one, yeah?
Yeah, because he's flying into London.
Yeah. Confusement.
Yeah. So lots of things, but all good. I don't know. I'm just filling up my days. It's insane. I worked out twice today. I feel so good.
Fancy.
Well, okay. I worked out. I walked for 20 minutes, and I call that a workout because pregnant.
You're growing a human. That is a workout in and of itself.
I tell you what. Yeah.
All I did this week was walk on the beach and then eat like half a pan of cookie brownies that I made. But I'm not growing a human. I'm mentally, telepathically helping you grow your human.
He is growing. We have a doctor's appointment on Thursday I feel like I haven't been to the doctor in forever, but it's only been a month, so.
Well, tell little Genghis Khan that we love him, and we'll be ready for another update in episode 31. I can't believe we've done this many eposodes. This already means that we've beat crazy. 99% of people who start a podcast and quit after 2 or 3. Look at us.
A bunch of losers.
Look at us.
You were us. We'll see you maybe next week, maybe never.
Bye.
Goodbye.